Hi, this morning India woke up to the unfortunate news of a gas leak in a Sterling plant in Vishakhapatnam. The source of the leak was a Sterling plant which is owned by the South Korean electronics giant LG. And it happened 15 kilometers away from Vizag in Gopalapatnam. To understand more about what really happened, we have a senior editor, Harsha Bhatt. Hi, Harsha.
Yeah, Tushar, a gas leak happened this morning at a styrene plant. Now, styrene is a flammable liquid that is used in the manufacturing of polystyrene, plastic, fiberglass, rubber, latex, medicine, among others. Now, at 3 a.m. in the morning, according to the company statement, apparently stagnation and changes in the temperature inside the storage tank could have resulted in what they call auto polymerization and could have caused the vaporization of this liquid. So the gas began to spread when people were fast asleep because the leak happened around 3 a.m. in the morning, and that is why the scale of the disaster looks big today because most people had police had to barge into homes and find people out, and we've all seen the visuals of people just dropping like that because they were falling unconscious, they were going comatose and the like.
Harsha, we've seen the visuals on Twitter. There were some very disturbing photos coming in, some videos too. People had just come, they had gone unconscious, some had fainted on the roads itself. And we know it can have some very short term consequences, the leak, which is like irritation in the eyes, respiratory problems, and even intestinal problems. So, what is the calamity number looking like? How many people are
Right
ill?
now, the fatalities are just, I mean, thankfully small at 8, though some reports say 11, but hundreds are being admitted to hospital, thousands evacuated. And though the gas they are saying is non poisonous, it is also said that it can be fatal if the exposure is for a long duration. And in this case, the number will be high because the exposure has been like from 3 a.m. in the morning when the leak happened, which means the crucial hours were lost before any safety precaution and the like could be put in place. Two by the time, like say, a good 6 to 7 hours were lost by then. So the scale is going to be big, and right now the numbers in thousands because 5 villages around this plant are said to have been affected. Thankfully, the gas has been neutralized, they say, and there is no leak right now anymore as it has been contained. But next 24 hours, Tushar, look critical, don't they?
Well, yes, absolutely. The next 24 hours would be critical. See, AIMS has already come out with a statement saying that the chances of a long term impact of the gas on humans is less, but because the compound leaves the body in some time. However, high exposure can cause coma. It can also cause cancer and phases of depression. So yes, the next 24 hours will be critical in way that if I draw a parallel from history, in 1984, when the Bhopal gas tragedy incident happened, the official immediate toll was around 2200, but 8000 people later died of because of the leak, and then over a period of time in the following months, some in the following years, another 8000 people died, and after a while the government couldn't keep an account of how many people had died. So thankfully in this case the official immediate toll is quite less, but the next 24 hours will be critical because we'll start having reports of how people are responding to the leak, how the bodies are responding to the leak,
So
especially
why
children
is
and
there
old
this
age.
parallel being drawn between the Bhopal gas tragedy and what has happened in Vishakhapatnam?
See, it's sort of in the psychology of India and the media that whenever some sort of a chemical blast or something, an incident of this sort happens, we immediately go back to 1984. However, the incident of Vizag looks far less harmful as compared to what happened in 1984. In Bhopal, you had the leak of methyl isocyanate, and the gas was so poisonous. It was one heavy, so it was quite dense, as is this gas, as they have been spraying water to push it down on the ground. But in 1984, the methyl isocyanate, that gas was poisonous. The immediate toll was 2200 people, Harsha, and even years after the incident people were born with some sort of a disability, so it had a very long term consequences. Even it took a long while for the judiciary to take into account the plight of the people. So we go back to this 1984 parallel all the time because that is one of the worst industrial disasters, not just in India but in the world. So that parallel is obvious. However, we shouldn't be using that parallel to create a panicky situation. I think the NDRF has been doing well. The Prime Minister has been on top of this. The Chief Minister has been on top of this. And all the law enforcement agencies are on this already. Already the leak has been curbed. There has been some measures measures that have been taken, such as the airlifting of some useful chemicals to curb this leak from Gujarat itself. So measures
Yeah,
have been taken.
the kind of effort that is being done now is all appreciable, Tushar. But I think we need to reflect on urban planning and other measures, given that one factory has now affected 5 villages. So a lot of lessons around urban planning that need to be put in place when it's things like this. And also, chief ministers of other states are now saying that factories which reopen after a long period of time will need to take precautions.
Oh, absolutely. See, the factories have been shut for a while, and of course, there could be a possibility of accidents. Even today, if you people who are going back to work, even in small factories, they are taking all the precautions when they're restarting their machines. But see, we always talk about the lessons in urban planning after something like this happens. We should already have had our lessons from 1984. I'll go back a little in time. In 2003, nearby Chandigarh, there was a small industrial accident which is probably forgotten at a Ranbaxy plant. Though only just 2 people died, but that was a lesson that chemical plants should not be located in residential areas. In 2016, there was a blast in Thane, which is extension of Mumbai city, another chemical plant, and the explosion caused window panes, in a radius of 1.5 kilometers to shatter. Then there have been a recent blast again in the same area, and yet we haven't learned our lesson. So going forward, urban planning needs to segregate industrial setup and residential setup. It might be a challenge for old cities like Bombay or Delhi, which are also dense in area. But if we're talking about 100 smart cities, one very critical aspect of them should be to segregate, to separate residential areas from the industrial areas, because in accidents like these, I mean, they can happen for whatever reason, but they shouldn't have a very domino sort of effect on the residential population, because then that becomes a disaster.
Thank you so much, Tushar. Hoping that the toll is stays low and at whatever numbers that we are hearing right now, because we are already in the in the middle of a pandemic, and this could only make things worse. Thank you so much.